Good afternoon, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome again to our 5 p.m. spot GMT. We are going to wait a moment just for others to join us, so please bear with us. Okay, we're just waiting a few moments for some others who are expected to join us will join us today. That's good. Cool, welcome anyone. Remember, please post your questions in the feed or will be answered either live or to you personally afterwards. And please also remember, if you like what you're hearing, please subscribe or like my channel. Thank you very much. And hopefully after this, if you've enjoyed the recording, you'll want to share this with everyone else. So just one more moment and we will get going. Okay, I'm just doing a sound and vision check to make sure that those that are logged in, that you can hear me well and obviously see me well. Hello, welcome everyone again. We're just waiting a moment before we start. As we have a very important subject today about mental health. Okay, so that's fine. So we are going to begin just in a moment. Bear with me a second. So, again, good afternoon, and if you're joining us for the first time, a really warm welcome here from Northeast London. This is my consulting room in FISO HQ, and a very warm welcome if this is the first time that you're visiting us or watching one of these broadcasts. This week, they are going to be Monday to Friday, at 5 p.m. GMT. They will be on Tuesday and Thursday next week only, and we're just deciding the time. So if any particular time is good for you, please put that in the chat. I would obviously like to know what would be suitable, obviously, for our audience, etc. So let's have some talk today. Let's talk about mental health. It's a huge subject. It's really a big subject at the moment. And what is mental health? People talk about it, etc. What actually is mental health? Well, I always look at this, it's a combination of your well-being, your happiness, your confidence, your self-esteem, with all these things being in good balance in your life. Obviously, I would say that healthy mental health has a positive outlook in life, um, and that is an important thing. But we want to look at why people don't have that balance, what disturbs the balance in us, because essentially our essence is at balance. So, what disturbs that in us? So, mental health is about mood and behavior and happiness. That's normally how we judge it. Um, and what creates our thoughts and onwards from that, our behavior is our conditioning. So, we act according to our conditioning, and this may not be the real us. It's just a conditioned form of us. And this happens to everyone and begins from our role modeling, from our parents, that we learn things from them. And we sort of mimic that in our own lives. That becomes our borrowed sort of personality. Even though we have our own unique personality, it's influenced by these role models around us. Now, there's many other forms of role models. There are essentially, parental role models are the most strongest in our life, but it could be societal. So we're all conditioned by the society around us, religious, spiritual, whatever you want to call it. Obviously, your social interactions, they all model our personality. And when we're a small child or baby, that mind is so porous, it's like a sponge. It's absorbing all that information all the time. And therefore, we are conditioned in a certain way. Now, some of that is totally necessary. We can't survive in this world without this type of conditioning because it teaches us how to act, what is the best behavior, what's most conducive for not only our happiness, but safety, stability, and all those important factors. So, yes, this conditioning is necessary to a point. Now, what happens in a young person? As we know, a young person's brain is growing even into the teenage years. That brain is growing and forming. And therefore, those impressions of the mind that we have gained through this conditioning, as we've said, there's nothing wrong in that. But we get to a point where we almost rebel against that conditioning. And this is often the experience that teenagers go through, that we've all been through, where we look at the world in a different way. And why we're looking at it in a different way is the brain needed to grow to a certain point to give us a greater self perspective of ourselves, an objective perspective. So, up until those points, we were just running on the conditioning that we had, which is fine, as we said. But then we start questioning that because we have a greater awareness of who we are. Now, in many cases, because of conditioning, this gets shut down. And we still follow those societal lines, we still follow those parental lines. And how often do we not make the same mistakes that our parents make? You often see the same thing repeating in a person's life. As an example, an alcoholic parent can easily produce an alcoholic child because though that conditioning, those thoughts, those experiences that that child has been exposed to over those periods of years is ingrained in their personality. So we are beings of conditioning, but we can move beyond that. We can move beyond that. Now, what also may have happened in our life is we may have had trauma and an unhappy childhood as molding us who we are today. We may have lost trust. There may have been physical or sexual abuse, etc. All these things are ingrained in us, and we retain those memories. But the great news is that we can actually go beyond them. And this is more than psychology. This is more just going through as a talking psychology, as a talking therapy, talking them through with someone. Now, talking is good. We mustn't forget that, because it's a form of self-expression. And when we express ourselves, we often feel more comfortable about who we are. But even though we're talking about those experiences, the traumatic ones we may have had in the past, that doesn't mean that we're able to find the strength to rise above them, to rise above that conditioning, so it no longer affects us. Yeah, it no longer affects us. Many people have traumas in their life, and they struggle to overcome these traumas. And then they think, well, perhaps that won't happen again. But essentially the same thing, that wheel comes around again, and we're still having that same issue, because in reality we've tried to deal with it. We possibly have swept it under the carpet. We have not dealt with it effectively. So therefore, we need to go to the root of this conditioning to change who we are. In the organization that I teach for, I lead, which is Fighting Meditation. Meditation is the perfect tool to uncondition us and thereby find who we really are. Because most people's mental health problems are based on them not knowing themselves and living in some form of expectation or aspiration of something perhaps they will never be. So they live in conflict. This conflict then detects their mood, their behavior, their social interactions, their self-belief, their self-esteem, their self-confidence. The whole list goes on, because all these things are so intimately related. Now, so if we were to go within ourselves, draw on those subtle energies that reside in the deeper aspects of ourselves, and be able to be objective. So we need two things here. We need objectivity to be able to see those thoughts and those conditionings, those feelings, those emotions from a removed state, a non-emotional state. So we want that objectivity. That is the first stage. Then we can sort our head out, because we're seeing our conditioning, which again dictates our needs, our wants, our behavior. We begin seeing this conditioning with greater objective clarity. So here, in this state of objectivity, we are non-attached to our thoughts. Now, this means that we can have that objectivity and not be emotionally involved as those thoughts go through our mind. So we stand aside from the mind. The moment we do that, in the majority, the mind will calm down. We will feel greater levels of peace and tranquility. And that, as I've always said, and you've heard me say before, is the gateway to our higher self. Yeah. We're simply dealing with those subtler energies, finer energies. Therefore, we consider them to be of a higher nature, because they're subtler. So positivity is a finer nature, negativity is a grosser nature, just as an example. So the important thing that we must do is keep looking in that mirror. How do we keep looking objectively in that mirror? It's quite hard to do. But meditation gives you the wonderful tool of being able to be objective and look in the mirror and see yourself and see all your conditioning. The greatest quest man has in life is to know thyself. All the scriptures talk about this, but how do we do that? We can only do that if we know ourselves. We can only do that if we look in the mirror and see our strengths and our weaknesses, and then have the strength to change what needs to be changed, to accept what cannot be changed, and have the insight to know the difference between the two. This is so, so important. And the majority of people in our society do not have these tools, sadly. You can do this with self-reflection, you can do this through having therapy, but at the end of the day, it's still down to you. If you cannot find the strength to rise above your own personal circumstances, then you will fall again. You will go round on that circle again and make the same mistakes. So we have to get off that wheel if we are to have greater happiness, feel better and confident with ourselves, and of course, have a positive outlook in life. When you have a positive outlook in life, you attract positive situations to you so phenomenally and so quickly and so effectively. Those opportunities will just keep coming, because you are attracting them. You are attracting them to you. So, mental health, it's so, so important. Mental health is about stability. It is about mental stability, where all the elements within us are well balanced. Confidence, self-esteem. Well, confidence comes from self-esteem. So we have to start with self-esteem, and a product of that is evidently confidence. We feel good about ourselves. Then we learn to love ourselves. And what is loving ourselves? It's very simple. It is self-acceptance. That is the first stage of loving ourselves. How many people love themselves? How many people can look in the mirror and say, I love myself? Not from an ego point of view, because we all think we're better looking than we really are. But hey, that's a fact. But essentially, we want to be able to look in that mirror and be able to accept everything about us, who we are, the bad things we've done, the good things we've done, the contradictions we've lived, the relationships that we've broken, the successes, the failures, all of these we learn to accept and understand them as a learning, as a springboard to become a better person. So we want healthy mental health, and that means balance. When we're in balance, we will behave. We will behave properly. And in that sense, I mean right thinking, right action. We will think correctly, we will think in a balanced way, and that will create balanced situations in our exterior life. Okay, we view the two as separate, how I feel internally and my exterior life. They're the same thing. You are a reflection of yourself. Your life outside of it's a mess is a reflection of your inner mess, your inner instability, your inner lack of balance. But the great news is, as soon as you restore that balance within yourself, and meditation is the perfect tool to do this, then everything in as you view in your externality becomes balanced as well. So people look at internal thoughts, exterior actions, but thoughts are actions. You cannot separate the two. So even if you don't physically act, if you're thinking something, that also forms an action. And as we know, the law of cause and effect, action and reaction, that's why all these things happen to us, etc. So, externality, internality, we find the balance between the two so that it accepts no separation between the exterior and the interior. It is as one. So what we're talking about here is self-integration. We have, through meditating, we have integrated the three aspects of mind: the body, the mind, and the spirit. Did you know, here's some information for you, that the first stage of our course is purely designed to create integration between the body, mind, and spirit. And it does this phenomenally well. Simply because the moment, as I said, we connect with those higher spiritual forces, those divine universal forces that exist within, everything changes in our life. Everything changes. We will never be the same. And that's what we want. Because we want to move beyond that conditioning. We want to move beyond that we had a hard childhood, we were neglected, we weren't loved, etc. Maybe in your karma you chose that. But that again is a stepping stone. Those lessons are not to punish you, they are to awaken you spiritually. So accept them, accept yourself, accept the past, accept that this is your path. And then your life can only become joyful. And where do we go from there? We go to bliss. So happiness is associated with joy, but of course that is still a mental attribute. When we go to bliss, we move beyond the mental levels and we go into that spiritual realm of bliss. Nothing can affect you, nothing can disturb you. You're standing on a completely firm foundation and you're aligned with those spiritual energies, at one with those spiritual energies. So how could you not have a wonderful life? No. And that's what I want for everyone. I want you all to have the most amazing experience, because that is why we're here. We're not here to suffer. We're not here to be conditioned, albeit we have said that some of that is necessary, especially as growing adults from childhood. We need that societal conditioning so we can live in this world, but we can move beyond it. And that's what we want to do. So, this path is a path of self-discovery. The more you find that balance, the more you overcome that conditioning, you truly find who you are and your purpose in life. Because everyone has a purpose. Yeah? Everyone has a purpose in their life. You're here for a reason. You have gifts as well. Everyone has unique gifts. So we want to be able to polish them. It's like the diamond with many facets. We just want to keep polishing it. All those facets shine brightly. And we can do this. But do you know what? It helps so much to have the right tools. And that's what my organization and my teachers will give you. Why suffer when you don't need to? Okay, there is some effort involved in practicing meditation twice a day for 20 to 30 minutes for it to be totally effective and transform your life. Is that difficult? No, it's not difficult. If you put it as a high priority in your life, then you will see the benefits so amazingly. So amazingly. So when we're unhappy, this only shows that we have conflicts in our lives. Those conflicts often come from that conditioning, that we understand one thing, we may believe another. So belief and understanding, belief and conditioning, they all get rather mixed up. And we lose that clarity of mind where we just know who we are, we know what to do, and we have the answers. Because remember, the universe is within us. If we calm ourselves sufficiently, all those answers are within you. Okay, when we have problems, for the majority of people, the first thing they want to do is look externally for an answer. Understood. Nothing wrong in that at all. But it's far better to be able to find that answer within yourself. And it's so easy to do. And we should try and do it, you know. We have a responsibility to ourselves to live a full life. Everyone wants to live a happy life. Everyone wants to, do stuff on their bucket list. They don't want to suffer. And it does make me really sad when I look around to see so many people suffering. You walk down a road, you go on a train, everyone looks down. I'm thinking, God, please show these people the way forward. They do not need to suffer. With greater understanding, life can be so different. So just going back to our subject, healthy mental health is a balance. Your emotions are balanced. That conditioning within you is less so. We bring that to greater balance. We have a balance of happiness. Happiness is always there in the background. And obviously we have peace, because you cannot have happiness without peace. You first must feel that peace within yourself, and that naturally will bring happiness. So when we have balanced all these aspects of ourselves, we're going to feel great. We are going to feel so good. And then we're going to surprise ourselves with things we're going to do, things that we've always wanted to achieve, but perhaps never had the strength or the confidence, or our conditioning helped us back because we were told, oh, you're that type of person that never does this or never achieves this. Untrue. You can achieve whatever you want to do. It's very important. So we only have a couple of minutes left. So just to remind you that we will have another subject for tomorrow. And this week, all the sessions will be at 5 p.m. Next week, they reduce slightly to Tuesday and Thursday. But as I said, we haven't actually worked out the time yet. That's suitable to everyone, but do let me know your comments. Please, most importantly, this is a very important recording. It can help so many people. So please do share. It's really important. Sharing is caring. And if you can share this recording, and obviously if you're on YouTube, please do like the recording, subscribe, hit the button to be updated of any new live sessions or any new recordings. And we will see you here again tomorrow, hopefully. So thank you very much for joining. Namaste and hopefully see you tomorrow. Have a lovely evening. Bye bye now.